What's going on, Toy Fan? Project Piper Customs here, and welcome back to another episode of The Custom Cave. How are we all doing? Hope you're all well. I hope you're spending your time wisely. I am. As you can see, I've been pretty busy. As I'm waiting for parts to arrive for some other projects, I just thought I'd tip out the old fodder box and see what I could come up with. And lo and behold, as you can see in front of you, we have a Predator and Punisher mashup. This is my own design. I absolutely love both of these characters and their respective franchises. And I had a ton of Predator fodder, so this one was great to just let my mind run free with ideas, and yeah, this is what I came out with. This is what my brain spat out, is what you can see in front of you. Okay, so let's go through the original concept, which sprung to me out of nowhere. Basically, as I'm a massive Predator fan, it's always fun seeing him being pitted against other characters that you love in a versus style format. And sometimes the versus format can be a bit corny, but when it's a Predator and his damn Hunter, seeing him face off against other characters is always great, because you want to see how they're going to fare against, say, like, you know, a Wolverine or a Batman or some shit. And yeah, I just thought, as I love the Punisher, and I wanted this sort of, I had the idea of this Predator being sort of a gunslinger, where he favoured projectile weapons more so than the bladed weapons. Or how would he fare against the Punisher, and what if he won? You know, how would he treat winning a battle against the Punisher, and what the Punisher is and how he looks. And yeah, then I had some fun delving into the Predator lore, which is sort of my favourite part of the franchise. As much as I love the films, and some of the films aren't great, but the parts I do enjoy about those not so great films in the franchise are the parts when they explore some of the home world, or a bit more of their culture, and a bit more of their tricks and what they like to do. Pardon, I just knocked the camera. And that goes into comics and books as well. And so yeah, obviously part of Predator lore and culture is that they claim skulls as trophies. And with this one, I kind of felt like if these two faced off against each other and the Predator won, okay, I'd kind of like to think that, because the Predators are known apparently in written lore, that they claim the technology and weapons from their kills from different species and assimilate into their own, which obviously gives them more advanced technology. I was like, well, why can't they do that with style and their look? You know, each Predator is sort of individual and they have their own style and look. As you've seen in the films, they'll dress up their armor with the bones of their kills. They'll have a specific skill set dedicated to something, and you know, this one, I wanted to give him the gunslinger approach, and you know, I like the fact that he sort of decided to dress himself to honour the memory of his greatest kill, his greatest adversary, in this case being the Punisher. So he's decided to mimic his look, and that being with the skull emblem on his chest. And so yeah, that's kind of where the brain baby came into being. Okay, so I'll bring him forward and I'll go over some of the things that I did. Now, majority of this figure, let me put him back so you can actually see him fully. Majority of this figure is a kit bash, and 3 elements of customizing, if you're new or if you already know this, is 3 elements of customizing is kit bash, repaint and sculpting, and I like to try and fuse a little bit of all 3 into my custom projects. Sometimes you can just have a great repaint on a sculpt that's already there, and a kit bash, obviously, just swap around some parts and you've got yourself a brand new figure. So with this, I took the buck from an NECA AVP Youngblood, which is the one that came with the alien head shoved on a spear. I had one of those kicking around, and using my massive tub of Predator fodder, which I do have accumulating from collecting Predator figures and broken figures and just salvaging all the parts I could. Never knew when it would be handy one day, so glad I did. I was able to throw together this. Okay, so we'll start from the bottom, work our way around. As I said, I wanted this guy to be a gunslinger, so I wanted him to have a handheld plasma caster amongst his other handheld stuff, and also amongst other guns, which I'll go through in a minute. So with that, one of the handy little props that came with one of the Alien vs Predator Requiem figures, as seen in the movie, is his handheld plasma caster. Now, he doesn't have the plasma caster in the movie. He has 2 shoulder mounted ones. Okay, but it's one of the boring characters at the end manages to get it off a Predator and turns it into a handheld, and the figure accommodated for that in the prop department also. Okay, so this just pulls off, which is great, and this can freaking do this, slide into his hand. Trust that I can't do it on camera now. Where are you? There we go. And then that clips on top. Okay. Now we have ourselves a handheld plasma caster. Alright. A bit fiddly, just because the hands are so damn big. But yeah. Okay. So that is that. Let me pull it apart. And this just goes into the bottom. Like so. Okay. So cool prop. Need somewhere to store it. And that is where this came in. Now I'm going to bring him close up for this. Get some better light on it. Okay, and here we have a gun holster. Now, as I say, majority of this figure is kit bashed, and I managed to salvage most of these parts from the other figure which I pulled apart from this. So we have the base is the AVP Youngblood, and the main where I got most of these parts from was another figure which was the Cyborg Predator from the Lost Tribe of Predator 2, again NECA, and I'm glad they're re-releasing them in ultimate form. That means I can pull apart all of my current ones. With that, I used his body armor, his shoulder pads, and his loincloth. Okay, so his loincloth here, I like the fact that he's an individual, this Predator, and not conformed by a uniform, as which is kind of like what the AVP1 Predators are like. They all sort of look the same in terms of body armor. So yeah, he's got some sort of leather loincloth part here. Let's get these bits out of the way. And I used the back of this loincloth, which would have been at the back, here as a side holster. Okay, so if I lift this up, you can see another part that I salvaged from Cyborg Predator, which was his leg plate here, and I really like the look of that. And I added this strap, which came from the sword sheath of the Elder Predator from Predator 2. Okay, again, and this is loosely fitting. Okay, so I can slide up and down, and it won't hinder articulation. All right, and that's just attached to his belt again here. And then I added this part around it, and with it being nice and snug, it was able to hold his gun like so, like that. Okay, that just made for a nice gun holster. Okay, we scoot across to this side, and going from the new Predator game, Predator Hunting Grounds, I like the fact that when they kill a victim and claim their head as a trophy, he just hooks it onto his belt and keeps it to one side for when he gets back to wherever he's getting to. So I wanted to kind of emulate that here, so he's got a fresh kill hanging off his belt. Okay, so with here I created a little hook with a bit of string, and this string came from one of the trophy necklaces from the Predator 1. I had quite a few of those, so I just lopped off the string, turned it into a hoop, glued it either side of the pouch on his belt, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, you have a little storage facility for your skull. And this can come out as well. It's just a bit fiddly with all the along the spinal column, but yeah, so that's a nice little accessory there. And then of course, going on the gunslinger theme, we spin him around over here. Obviously, being this is a Youngblood Predator, he had 2 blade wielding gauntlets. I only wanted to give him the one, so I dremeled out the slots where the blades would go, and I inserted and glued in the plasma caster from Predator 2. Okay, so he's got an arm gauntlet mounted weapon, like so. Okay, so to give him another bit of weaponry to fire at his baddies, his enemies. Alright, now we go up to this midsection here, and of course, the crown jewel of any Punisher-esque figure, the skull. Okay, so we're going to get into this piece in just a second. Now, my idea for this was obviously with the Predator mimicking his look by emulating the skull on his own chest. The armour itself that came off of the Cyborg figure, which fitted on this figure beautifully, by the way, lent itself to, you know, creating a skull design on it with little to no effort. These areas here were perfect to create the eyes. This area here was great to make the nose, and these ribbed areas here was create for these I don't know what the parts of the jaw by the teeth, and sort of paying homage to the original sort of Punisher design, where you had an ammo belt mimicking sort of the teeth portion to create the illusion of the skull. I wanted to emulate that here, but with bones, as it's obviously a Predator. Okay, so I sculpted these by hand. I made an extra one. Okay, pretty simple to do. So I made 4, 5 including this one, and yeah, broke them off at the tips, gave them some detail, painted them up, and there we have 4 long bones mimicking the teeth portion of the skull look. And this area here was actually on his back, so I'll lock that off and attach it to the front, and we have an area for the teeth of the skull. And I left it sort of semi-loose, so it can just tuck in, so that way it's not going to hinder waist articulation. All right, if I want to turn him. left or right, it's not going to hinder it. There we are. Okay, and I like to think that he's crushed up some bone dust, mixed it with water, and just slapped the design on by hand. So I try to give it that just rough pattern look. Okay, and this will lead me to my personal favourite part of the custom itself, which is this necklace here. Okay, and another part of Predator lore is obviously I like to turn their trophies into jewellery. So I've made him a skull necklace. Now this piece itself came off of, again, the sword sheath from the Elder Predator 2, part of the straps, which I butchered and used elsewhere, and that skull was attached to it along here. And basically this just seemed poetic to me, but I wanted him to have the Punisher's actual skull on his chest, wearing it like a trophy in all its glory. Okay, so that's the idea behind this, is that he'd actually have the Punisher's skull on his chest. Okay, and yeah, there was just something really poetic about that, and I ran with it. So there we are. So he's wearing that, and it can be removed as it is a necklace, so you have the posing options. Okay, and this is definitely my favourite part. Alright, and I'm really, really happy with how this came out. Okay, so it's kind of like paying tribute to his greatest human adversary, you know, in a way that a Predator would, by emulating his look. And of course that then leads me to his mask, and another part of the Yauja or Yuja, which is the written name for the predator species. Part of their culture is obviously in some of the tribes they mark their faces and helmets with the bloods of their most, you know, the kill. In the AVP world, to become a mature adult in the predator clans, you need to be able to kill a xenomorph, which is from Alien, and obviously just like the leader over there, you can see the marking on his head. They mark their helmets and skulls with the blood from a xenomorph, and that then allows them to ascend into adulthood. And I thought, well, not this, you know, that sort of part of the culture can translate elsewhere. Like they have marked their helmets with their greatest kill, and in this case, from killing the Punisher, I sort of thought it would be good so that he would use the Punisher's blood and create the skull on his mask, and that's why I painted it like that. And I've made it look like, let's get some light on it, that the Predator's just sort of smeared it on with his hands, okay, and given that skull tribute as well. Okay, now let's go into some of the accessories that I've got for him. Obviously has his assortment of wrist blades. Obviously, as you can see, with these big AVP Predators, the wrist blades, they came in 3 different sizes. Some of the Predators had just your standard length ones, and Scar being my favourite from that movie with his double-sized badass ones, and obviously he had little ones from when they're retracted, but I didn't really want to pinch them from him over there, so I made my own little ones. And again, I've got tons of these little wrist blades, so it was no problem just using some for fodder and snipping them to size. And as you can see, they just insert like that. 2 of them in there, and it looks like his wrist blades are retracted as he's getting to work doing other things. But of course, I love display options, so we do have regular size and the overcompensating size. And if we spin it around to the back again, okay, here you can see I took the necklace that came with the original Predator, which is over there. So you can see it on him one side. Okay, and just wanted to give him some more trophy skulls to hang. So I cut off the ends and I just glued it here as it's part of his belt. Obviously the Predators like to wear their kills as jewellery. Okay, and here I flipped this one upside down because it's got a little mouth, as you can see. Move the arm out of the way. Right, you see that mouth there? And that, with a bit of fiddling, as this is one of his main accessories, which is a collapsed shuriken, with a bit of fiddling, ladies and gentlemen, alright, if it will actually do it, and it can hold his shuriken, another accessory that can just be held on his person. Okay, so there we are. And obviously as part of the arsenal that comes with these figures, he gets an open one too. So as you can see on his back, we have the shoulder mounted plasma caster, and this is one of the pieces that came with the various AVP Alien vs Predator figures from NECA. Big massive chunky thing with a huge plasma caster. Now obviously because I'm using a different upper body, there was no really way for this to clip on to the back, so I had to do some modifications. So I made it magnetized. Alright, it took a bit of modifications, so I had to use my Dremel to slice this bit off here so his arm wouldn't get, you know, so it wouldn't bash off when his arm went backwards. And I dremeled in 2 little cavities and I inserted some magnets here and on the inside of his armour plating. Okay, so there's 2 magnets in his back and 2 magnets here, and these aren't very strong magnets, so I wanted to double up to increase the strength. I'm literally just using parts that I have here with me in the house and using the tools that I have. Okay, and it does go on. It's not the best in terms of wanting to stay on, but it does just go on like that. Okay, your Predator dreads do get in the way, and just like the other plasma casters on the shoulder, whenever you turn the head, the dreads just knock them off anyway regardless, so it didn't really bother me that much, but it worked for what I wanted. Okay, let me pull this just off again. So, and of course the plasma caster arm is all functional as before. Okay, just like that, and it can be tucked away. And bush, we'll just leave that off for now. But the accessories don't stop there. As per standard with any figure, and what I like to include also, he does have alternate hands. Okay, so we've got 2 fists there, he's got 2 open there, and also he has a bunch, which I've given him from other Predators, some blast effects for all of his different various guns. So I have modified the plasma cannon, as you can see here, this one. So that will sit in, right, so that will fit in there. Okay, let me pull out his sidearm. Come on, come on. There we are, thank you. His plasma cannon. There we are. And of course, this one on here. Make sure I've got that the right way around. And last but not least, my favourite accessory that I've made for him so far, this. So basically what we have here, we have the gun that came with the Dutch action figure, which I thought would just be a nice throwback to the Arnie movie. And this has a human skull just sitting on top. And that's sort of something, you know, you'd see in a Punisher comic or Punisher cover art. And yeah, so it sort of just all emulates and tributes to the Punisher and Predator, just matches them up nicely. And I thought this was a pretty good accessory to convey just that. Alright, so all I've done here is I've got quite a few of these human skulls that have come from various Predators and Predator accessory packs, and just dremeled in a hole straight through the eye. And this being the only sort of machine gun that has a long enough barrel to go through. And it just sort of, it works. There's the one thing about this custom project, everything sort of just came together easily. There was no fusses or anything, you know, nothing really went wrong with this custom. The idea that I had sort of panned out perfectly, and there wasn't really that much modifying I needed to do. And the modifications that I did to the accessories all seemed to work out perfectly fine. And it sort of just tells me that, you know, this was meant to be. I'm not one of those, oh, but this is meant to sod off, we're all in control of our own lives. But with this one, everything, you know, the road was clear, there were no speed bumps. And it's really nice when that happens. It's not all the time, and it's very rare, but it does happen, and I'm glad this was one of them. So yeah, and I thought this would just be a really cool accessory to pose him with. He doesn't have a trigger finger hand, unfortunately, but him holding it in this hand regardless still just looks pretty badass. See if I can get him to do it here on camera. Okay, without a little effort. If he'll actually hold it for me. It does sit in there. And there we go. Let me move him back for you, so you can have a look with the others. Come on, get into frame, get into frame. There you go. And I thought that was just a badass pose for him to stand in. And yeah, another display option. So overall, I'm unbelievably happy with how this one came out. It was so much fun just to let my mind run free and completely redesign 2 characters that I absolutely love the most and mash them together and just create what I think would be just a great storyline. You know, it was fun coming up with some sort of backstory for him as well, and yeah, it was just fun. So, and it just shows you what you can do if you're bored and if you've got the fodder, and just to let your mind run wild. So yeah, so if you yourself have any fodder, just dig through it and you'll be amazed at what you can come up with and you can create. So yeah, so anyway guys, I hope that has inspired you. I hope you enjoy this nice little quarantine build of mine. I do have some more projects coming. I have my community posts tab unlocked now that I've hit 1,000 subs, so you've probably seen a couple of them that I've posted up. Treat them as if I was posting a video, so I'd really appreciate likes and comments on those as well if it's something that interests you. So I did put up a post of what I had on the table, which is of course the TMNT2 Secret of the Use shredder from the second Turtles movie. I have the parts have come through to finish him off, so he'll be my next custom cave video after this. I'm still trying to go live because I'd love to do some live customizing and just chat to you guys at the same time, but I'm still waiting for my live streaming option to be enabled officially on YouTube. They still haven't done it yet, so I'm waiting for that. But yeah, the shredder will be the next custom cave project I have, and I am also in the process of making, as you might have seen from a community tab post, an actual custom cave. So I've got more foam that's come through for that, so I can continue building that, and you'll have a better backdrop to look at rather than just this crap. And yeah, so it'll be something decent and presentable that I can have in videos in the future. So that'll be a fun build, and I'll do a video on that as well. I'm not a diorama maker, so I'm not really used to this kind of stuff, but I'm learning as I go, and it's pretty fun too. Obviously, one of my closest is Tom from Tom's Dioramas, you know, my teammate over at Plastic Action UK. He's given me some tips as well, and yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun doing that, and it's nice to just try something different and flex some other creative muscles that you got. So yeah, that's enough of me rambling. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you could give this a like if you enjoy it, and a comment if you want to know more, and I'd really appreciate a sub if you could. If I've earned your sub today, then click away. I'd really appreciate it. And also hit me up on my social medias at Project Piper Customs on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll see the latest updates I've got, or just random crap I'm posting up there. Anyway, I hope you're all well and safe. Enjoy the shots at the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.